First at 4, claims of price gouging over insulin. We're going to talk about some groundbreaking legal action and who is involved in that fight. Here's Paula.
Wanting, needing, and getting mental health care.
You're no longer 12. You become 18. The law will start to look at your behavior as criminal.
Can be harder than it sounds. We have one local mother's story.
Also, the forewarned weather team says we could see record-breaking, feels like spring temperatures, which might also need an umbrella. First at 4 starts now.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Devin Skillian in for Karen Drew, who is on special assignment right now. First at 4, new federal lawsuits are making claims of price gouging when it comes to life-saving insulin. Cities of Detroit, Macomb, Wayne, Washtenaw, Monroe counties are the first in Michigan to join this fight. They are suing some of the biggest drug companies and pharmacy benefit managers, alleging that they have worked together to inflate the price of insulin. Local governments say they bear the high price of insulin for their low-income residents and employees. One of the attorneys involved laid out the goals.
The allegations are allegations under the RICO statute, as well as the Sherman Antitrust Act, the Michigan Antitrust Act, and the Consumer Protection Act. We're seeking to halt that behavior. We're seeking to have compensatory and punitive damages. And bottom line, we want to stop the bad behavior.
A news conference occurring late today. We are getting reaction from the drug industry. We'll have more on these allegations coming up tonight on Local 4 News at 6. Warren police tell us a 13-year-old boy is facing a felony charge in a school threat. Officers were sent to Chatterton Middle School yesterday regarding a student making death threats. They say the teen sent threats to another student after a physical altercation that happened on Monday. And we're told a search of his home turned up a 9mm handgun and a BB replica firearm. The 13-year-old is in custody this afternoon and faces perhaps up to 10 years in custody if convicted. Fallout from the guilty verdicts, meanwhile, for Jennifer Crumbley still sinking in for families, prosecutors, and police across the country, not just here. The mother of the Oxford High School shooter, the first parent to be held criminally responsible for a child's deadly actions. Jury foreperson giving us more insight into those verdicts. She appeared exclusively on the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie.
For me, I just feel like Jennifer didn't separate her son from the gun enough to save those lives that day.
You felt she was the last person known to have had custody of the gun.
Yes.
And then somehow it ends up in his hands.
And I think the responsibility of securing the weapon then falls on her.
Jury, of course, found Crumbley guilty on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. She'll be sentenced April 9th, facing a maximum of 15 years. She's been behind bars already for 2 years. Now, the verdicts will likely be appealed. They have plenty of parents wondering about their legal responsibilities if they happen to be coping with a child who's troubled. More families may feel pressure to get some help, but some say finding that help can be very challenging just now. Paula Tutman live with one mother's emotional journey. Paula.
Gina didn't know her son was spiraling with learning disabilities and mental health struggles.
Back in 2008, when he was 12, even prior to that, that wasn't a space or an area that even myself had not heard of a lot of these different disorders.
That was then, this is now. Her son continued to decline, his mental health struggles becoming part of his overall disabilities until mental health decline met uninformed law enforcement.
You know, there was a struggle. So now it went from a mental health issue to now you gotten tased and arrested.
Gina educated herself to understand what was happening to her son. Now working on her doctoral dissertation, the story is the same for many, many people, Gina says, particularly young men of color.
My son, with being undiagnosed, there is a word construct for that, and it's called pipeline to prison. There is over 47% of the people who, particularly Black males, who are incarcerated, have learning disabilities.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Rose Moten, Local 4's resident mental health expert, says these days mental health decline is on a sharp incline.
You have children that are growing up from the age of 3, 4, 5. They're playing violent games where the goal is to murder individuals. And they're being desensitized. When we grew up, Paula, we played outside.
Yes, immediate hands-on resources can be tough to find depending on where you live and what's available at a time when demand for mental health services can exceed supply.
If your child says anything or you just feel your child is a potential threat to themselves or a potential threat to someone else, if they're suicidal or they're potentially homicidal, get them to an emergency room, a hospital emergency room. Let them be evaluated. Sometimes that can speed up the process.
We're all failing these young people because these are invisible disabilities. You don't have a physical observation. You don't see that there's something wrong with them.
You have to ask for referrals. You go to the school, see if there are school mental health individuals that perhaps can be in the interim before you get them consistent services with the outside mental health therapist. Advocate, advocate, advocate.
Yeah, and there are also resources that are available, including the 988 suicide hotline, in which you do not have to be specifically feeling suicidal in order to get navigation, help, or even some de-escalation. And our wonderful clickondetroit.com team, they've put together a resource guide on our website so that you can see what is indeed available in your area as well. Stay with me at 6. We take you inside mental health decline with someone who's been there and survived it. Devin?
You got it, Paul. And so happy we've got that resource guide because so many people just don't know exactly where to even start. All right, more from Paula coming up here tonight at 6. Governor Whitmer, meanwhile, just released her new budget recommendations in Lansing today. Her proposal, totaling more than $80 billion, doesn't include any tax increases. Governor says paying off retirement debt early for certain educators has freed up $670 million. 2 budget highlights. She's asking for $159 million to expand free pre-K to every 4-year-old in Michigan. That would be 2 years ahead of schedule, the original layout for that plan. She's also seeking $30 million to expand free tuition at community college for every Michigan high school graduate who doesn't already have a degree. Business editor Rob Maloney will have a closer look at the budget tonight on Local 4 News at 5. All right, we take a live look at downtown Detroit. You can probably feel the warm-up we've been talking about. We're seeing temps in the mid-40s. Brett Collar has an update filling in for Kim tonight. Hey there, Brett.
Not too bad right now. We're talking about numbers well above where we should be this time of the year. A couple of exceptions, upper 30s in Grosse Ile, low 40s in Mount Clemens. But we're going to tack on about 10 degrees to these numbers by Friday. We're talking upper 50s, maybe a couple of 60s dotting the map. That's record-breaking territory. We'll dive more into that coming up. Local 4 News at 5. Clouds on the increase from the west. Out ahead of that, decent amount of clearing, so some decent sunshine here today. We'll get a little bit more tomorrow before that rain moves back in. As for this evening, it's quiet. If you're going down to see Michigan take on Ann Arbor, Ann Arbor, 40s falling into the 30s by the time you head out of the game. But again, we are talking about rain chances and that record-breaking day possible Friday. We'll dive more into it coming up in just a bit.
All right, Brett. Local 4's march through Metro Detroit continues this afternoon. This week, our In Your Neighborhood team has been in Belleville, Warren, and today it's Northwest Detroit, visiting an amazing community hub there. Damon Fernandez and Karen Drew will be bringing our 5:30 newscast to you live from there. They join us now with a preview. Hey there, friends.
Hey there, Devin. It's so good to see you, and it's so good to be here at the Adams Butzel Recreation Center. We're on the city's northwest side. You know you're going to have a good time when the bows and arrows start coming out, right?
Yeah, you know, here they have so many programs, and archery is just one of the popular programs that folks, young and old, like to enjoy. And you see some community members, some students right now behind us participating in archery classes right now with their instructor, Tanisha. I'll tell you, people in this area have been telling us that there's so many positive things and some positive momentum happening here. They're also pointing us to some of the hot spots and hidden gems in this community. Among them, they told me about the Loyola High School Detroit. It's a place that they say is grooming some young men, young scholars do some positive things, and that school's also finding ways to give back to the community. Take a look. Off Fenkell and Pinehurst on Detroit's northwest side, many neighbors have grown to know Loyola High School Detroit as a gem in the community.
Loyola's been here in this neighborhood for 30 years now.
This private Catholic school for boys has about 1,200 students. Most of the young scholars are from this community.
Really essential to our current unit right now.
Others travel from points across Detroit metro area for Loyola's standout academic and athletic programs.
Loyola changes lives.
Michael Black knows Loyola's reputation for enhancing students' minds, bodies, and spirits well. He's Loyola's interim principal. He's also a graduate. Administrators are excited Loyola High School Detroit is preparing to celebrate 14 consecutive years of 100% senior class college acceptance.
Well, I think you have to be willing and committed to providing full wraparound services for your students.
This school, students say, has been a hub where they've been able to develop personally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually, with help from dedicated faculty and staff who they lean on as mentors.
When you think about Loyola High School, how special is this school to you?
It's special to me because it opens up brotherhood to me. I get to meet new people, see new faces.
Raylon Murray is a junior at Loyola. He's a standout scholar, and he's active in rugby, football, basketball, the chess club, and even the choir.
You gotta have discipline on the field and in the classroom because it gotta go hand in hand.
This campus is also committed to giving back to its immediate community. Right now, construction is underway. The school's building a new chapel.
We're very excited. It's a 200-seat chapel.
President David Smith says the new chapel will be a gathering space for services, and the school's constructing a new welcome center, making the entrance to Fenkell more inviting.
We're proud of our neighborhood, and we're looking forward to staying here and contributing to the community.
And again, that's just one of the hidden gems that folks are telling us about in this community. You know, Karen, coming up at 5:30, as we always do, we'll be diving in some of the community issues that you told us about that are important to you. Kind of like how the city is being proactive right now in addressing some of the blight concerns that neighbors have in this area.
Yeah, that really is an issue. We'll talk about that, and also we'll be going through this rec center. It's kind of quiet in this room because they have to pay attention. You can't be loud, right?
It's a quiet zone.
But
we're going to talk a little bit.
I was going to say, we're going to the boxing ring next, so that's going to be fun. I'm excited for that. So there's much more ahead on Local 4 News, so we'll send it back to you, Devin, and we'll check back with you at the end of the show as well.
You got it. All right, guys, we'll see you then.